All systems go. Clear for liftoff. What's up, everyone? Tyler Tamboline here, aka ToeTagginTambo. We're back, baby. It feels so good to be back here with my man Hoopster. I know we had a couple weeks off. We had the waste management outing with the SHIPIT Nation DGen 75 crew. We had the merger happen with our guy DGen 75. Just got off a call with him. We're getting very excited. For those of you that don't know about it yet, we'll probably hit on it a little bit throughout this show, but definitely want to remind you guys, big news tomorrow at 12 p.m. in the Lord's time zone. Give my guy James some love first. 1 p.m. Eastern here on this channel. The three of us, Hoop, DGen, and myself, will be on breaking down everything all-encompassing with the merger. We're going to talk about the DFS industry, why we did the alignment, the merger that we got together, why we're bringing things together. We're going to talk about pricing. We're going to talk about deals. We're going to talk about contests. We're going to talk about all kinds of stuff when it comes to that, and then all the new sports and extra sports that you'll be getting if you're coming over from either side. If you do want to get in now, you can go to shipitnation.com. Use that code DGen15. Remember, one-time code use. So put it to good use. If you want to get in, we'll talk more on that when we get through, but it's 15% off anything you want to check out. Shout out to my guy, Sean. He's first in. We always give a shout out to the first up. And Sean says, first in, glad you made it home safe. Long travel day, but it was well worth it. A heck of a time out there with everybody that we got to meet up with, a ton of great members from both sites that are coming together. So it was awesome. The event, little bit different. We'll talk on that stuff. But Hoopster, I'll bring you in, man. What's going on with you? How have you been? I feel like it's been forever since we hopped on a show.
Yeah, it's been a little while, but man, it's going to be full force here moving forward in terms of the shows, the content, our schedule. Next week, we'll pick up the Showdown show for round 2, and then our guy, Jen, will have you covered for round 3 and round 4. So the PGA stuff is going full force here moving forward. Very excited. Like you said, in terms of the merger with DGen, just made a lot of sense. I mean, it made a ton of sense. It's been in the works for a while, and we're going to lay it all out for you guys tomorrow on a stream. Me, Tambo, and DGen will be on as well. And man, a lot to discuss, obviously, and we're very excited about it. And it all kind of kicks off tomorrow. Last week, we talked about it, made the announcement. Tomorrow is going to be the first official day. And man, could not be more excited. And we're just getting started over here. Like we said, but our goal has always been to add on and improve. You've seen it over time, what we've done, and the prices have remained unchanged. And that's something that we've made a commitment to ourselves on, and it's going to be a commitment moving forward. You're getting all this stuff now from DGen and his team, and the price tag's not going up. I mean, it's an insane value compared to where others are at. We're going to talk about a lot of that tomorrow. In terms of this week for PGA, good event, good course, a lot of big names here. We got 70 guys in the field, almost like a no-cut event. We'll talk about that. We'll talk strategy. We'll kind of go tier by tier and talk through it in terms of some guys that we're liking, some guys that we might be looking to be off, and then some roster construction, game theory stuff along the way, which is the very important part. So looking forward to getting started here.
Yeah, certainly what we focus on over at SHIPIT Nation is actually playing DFS, beating the game, keeping it at an affordable price, and then being in there in the community with everybody else that is playing with similar goals and mindsets to try and get to the top of these tournaments. So we're going to face it from there. Hoop mentioned about it. If you guys don't know the Genesis this week, we got Tiger is back in the mix. I'll comment on that in a second too, but just real quick, it's not a no cut. It is the top 50 and ties make the cut of the 70 that are in the field, but it's also anyone within 10 strokes. So you might see a situation where barely anybody drops off. You'd have to play very bad. Now, this course, Riviera, is an awesome course. Everybody knows that's seen it in the past. It can beat you up. So there's possibility we lose some, and we probably will. But just to say it in general, treating it like a no-cut, I actually have no problem with that. And if you are bad enough that you pick, and I'll be in the mix with you, I'm sure in some lineups, the wrong guys that happen to get chopped off, then it sucks, and you move on. But it's a fun week. Lots of big tournaments over on DraftKings as well. So just to go through it quick, not sure who you're talking about, but I wouldn't join any other site when it comes to PGA DFS right now. And we can start saying that because as far as the content you're going to receive, and we're going to break that all down tomorrow, from the shows that we always do are for free, but projections, ownership, and when we really get into breaking down everything tomorrow, things like showdown projections for PGA and showdown ownership, where sites literally are not even adapting to the fact that they're playing different courses, that there's certain wave advantages, anything like that. We're digging down, like our guy DJ says, sweaty tryhards means actually getting in and doing the work, not just charging double the price or triple the price we charge and hoping that you come sign up. That's the difference. Shout out to Joanne here. Best tools in the biz. Absolute shit show. Twitter, he's talking about, can you give us a waste management review? It was definitely out of control, but I don't know how they're going to curb that. Like, that's just what that event is. We'll have to see what happens in the future. Shout out to our guy Rin taking his L. We appreciate that. Yes, EBR, surprise, surprise, is not the same as Sahith Theegala. So we'll get you for that one. And then I got to bring this one up. We'll end here. Cullen, congrats. First of all, won $250,000 wrapping up the NFL season in one of the pools that he was in, giving away a $200 single entry ticket today. Hoop, how are we going to give that ticket away, man? I know we're going to do it on this show. So what's the plan for that ticket?
Yeah, so we have a $200 single entry ticket to give away from our guy Colin, which we obviously appreciate. Love seeing people bring back to the community. Let's go ahead. Obviously, the big news in our circle and our community has been the merger with DGen 75. Let's go ahead and we'll give it to the person that comes up with let's say the reason they're most excited for the SHIPIT Nation and DGen 75 merger. So put the comments in chat, funny, serious, whatever it may be. You never know what sort of mood your boy is in here today. So you might say something funny. A lot of people go to the kids and the family stuff. Yeah, I don't know. You just gotta roll the dice and put your comment in there. You don't know what sort of mood I'm in, but a comment as to why you're excited for the merger. That's
mine would be, if I was getting after Hoop, and this won't win now, but I would say mine would be, the reason I'm so excited for this is because I know it's going to help me excel in my DFS game, make more money, which I then plan to donate to an elderly home nearby, while also taking care of my kids who are starving. And then Hoop would be like, oh, wow, it hits on everything. Like, that's what we got to do. So, yeah, try your best.
And then you got to throw something in there about wheelchairs. That always moves you up the list.
Yeah. Looking forward to having you join us, Nick. And for those that don't know, if you're watching this for the first time or on playback, most of you, if you were already a DGen 75 member, will get your email today. There's no need to go and sign up over on our site. We've got a special way to bring you over where it's going to be that you're paying the exact same or less and getting a lot more, getting all the other sports that we provide and offer. After this goes through tomorrow, we will have the 8 major sports because we already have NFL, NBA, PGA, MMA, NHL, and MLB. We'll be adding NASCAR starting this week for the Daytona 500. No, it is not $450 more to buy that package. You just get it included. And then we'll have college football. It is not $330 to buy that. That'll just be included as well when it comes back around. So you guys will be able to get that. Shout out to my guy Wins a Lot. Saw him and his wife down there at the Pop Stroke and some of the other stuff that we went to. So that was an awesome time. Appreciate you there. Just going through it all. Just all good people in the chat. Just love seeing you all out there. We'll get those comments from you guys and give away that $200 single entry. Tomorrow, we'll break down what the new content is, the new sports, the new content schedules, all of those things. But Hoop, let's talk about this tournament, the Genesis. I was going to say something quick. Did you see the Tiger Woods? Oh, man, don't tell me this thing again.
Yeah, you're locked in. You got that thumb. You got to keep that thumb buried. You get that thumb up, it freezes you out. I'll take over. Just give me the talking point that you were going to roll with, and I'll take over and get your camera reset.
No, you go ahead. You talk about it, anything you want. I'm going to quickly fix this and come back in.
Yeah, so obviously the big news, Tiger playing this week. A lot of eyes will be on Tiger Woods playing for the first time in a while. This event is obviously a historic one that people know this course. It's exciting to see Tiger back in terms of DFS. I mean, Tiger Woods is $6,500. And you have no clue what sort of, condition his game is in, sort of condition that he is in. And that it's definitely a talking point in terms of this slate. I mean, I can't imagine clicking the name, but we'll certainly talk about it when we get down there. But it does add some excitement to golf in general anytime Tiger Woods is in the mix. So definitely looking forward to seeing him. But in terms of DFS, I don't know. It's not going to move the needle for me all that much this week.
Okay. Am I back?
You're back. Yes.
Okay. Did you see the new logo, the talk of the town right now?
Yeah.
Sunday red. And people just can't understand this. Again, I love it. Like it gets going on Twitter or X, whatever you want to call it. People going out there. This is the part, no one knows anything when they're talking about it from a perspective of fashion. Like it's Tiger Woods. Of course it's going to sell. He could put a piece of actual shit on the shirt as the logo and say it's made by Tiger Woods and it's his new brand. and people would run out and buy it. That's how marketing and business works. What I'm saying is it's not that. What's most confusing is someone like him cannot get, a billionaire basically get someone together to bring something better to the table that would actually look. Does Sunday red make sense? Yes, it's what he always wore, his Sunday red. Yeah. So the branding makes sense. The logo itself is probably fine, like the 15 stripes and the tiger and all that. And I know he doesn't want to go to the Jordan silhouette because Phil Mickelson has something like that with the club up in the air. I get that. All we were saying was that, people that think it's about fashion or whatever, it's just what we're saying is him sitting down in a room. How was that the logo that they were like, yeah, this is the one, especially when they put the little SDR around it, like one in the top left, like that's the thing. It just, I don't know. I thought it was bad. I don't think it's anything to do with fashion or branding. They don't need much branding when it's Tiger Woods or marketing. It's just, I thought we would have seen a better logo come to the table was my only point, at least how I saw it. What was your thoughts?
My main takeaway is your initial takeaway where it honestly doesn't fucking matter. Like they're going to sell the shit out of this stuff and make a ton. Everyone's going to make a ton of money. And as soon as this is available, I don't even know if it is yet. When you go to the golf courses, no matter where the hell you are around the world, people are going to be wearing this shit, and nothing else matters in my eyes.
That was it. That was what I was saying. The two things can be the same. People that are saying that are not getting it. It's one, we know it's still going to sell no matter what. It's the second part of, was that really the best that they could have came up with? I don't know. I don't wear much golf attire as it is, so I wouldn't know. But just something I thought of when we brought it up. Anything else you want to talk about this? I mean, obviously smaller field. We mentioned about the cut line. I think that's going to be sort of the case. And when we go through the tiers, we can talk about how we see it playing out from, how many people get to Scotty now that you can roll down that board and find guys in the 6K range, even the low sevens. Like it's not like you need to go in the sixes, but there's definitely real dudes and ones that you're going to be excited about down there. Like your Canadian boy, Adam Svensson is down there at 6,600. There's just lots of guys, Tom Hoagie, Griot, Adam Schenk is a guy that people are going to go to as well. But there's going to be a lot of guys that you can get to down there to make guys up top work. So what's your first thoughts early on this one, on how it's going to play out as far as ownership goes and roster construction?
Yeah. So, I mean, people are going to look at this and, they're going to immediately look to Scotty Scheffler. I mean, at this point, just, the best golfer in the world. Started to make some putts last week, finished third, I believe. T3. I mean, he's just so safe. And, it's always like the talking point that we hit on a lot of people are like, oh, if I play Scotty at 11-8, he has to finish top 5. If he finishes outside of the top 5, he can't pay off his salary. And that's just not the right way to look at this when you're viewing a guy like Scotty Scheffler. Like if Scotty Scheffler finishes 9th place and everyone else in this top end range finishes like 15th or below, you can win with Scotty. So like the fact that people think if they pay the big boy price tag that they have to get a certain result is just not the case. Like if you have the winner, Scotty finishes 8th and you have some other guys in the top 10, like you're going to have a fine team. You're going to have a fine lineup, but a lot of people will go to him. And honestly, how I'm viewing this, and we'll talk through it for sure, but I just think the guys after Scotty have to get squeezed a little bit, like Rory at 11-2. If people are deciding between Scotty and Rory, they're going to Scotty because of how well he's been performing. And then Rory coming off the 66 at the Pebble Beach. Xander Schauffele, although it is a big price difference from Xander to Scotty, $1,400, Xander has not been playing all that well. Same can be said for Hovland. So curious to, kind of see where your take is on the rest of these guys in the 10K range. We have a lot of guys that look to be a little underpriced in the 9s and the 8s. Justin Thomas, Aubert is going to get some ownership. I guess I'll just go with Aubert. I said on the last stream, it looks like Aberg, so I'm saying Aberg, but I mean, now everyone's on the Aubert, so I'll follow the rules and I'll go Aubert, who I do like this week. Cantlay at 93 is going to get ownership. Then you have guys like Sam Burns, Cameron Young, who looked good last week, Wyndham Clark, Adam Scott. So I think people are going to try to stick in this middle range. You could see some, additional mid-tier type builds out there. I mean, you can make some really nice teams if you start with a guy like, I don't know, if you put in Adam Scott, if you put in Wyndham Clark, like you can make some really nice and appealing mid-range type teams. I'm not saying I think Scotty gets squeezed. I think it's Scotty. And then a lot of those guys get forgotten. And then people are going to try to jam in this mid-tier. But you got to keep in mind, we are playing like a no-cut event. So you definitely want to embrace some of the risk in the bottom 6K range. So those are just some initial thoughts that kind of popped in my head going through this. Obviously, haven't built any teams yet. This is, just initial thoughts when I go through and build my teams tomorrow. Maybe I'll have some different thoughts kind of go through my head that will all be on the website at shipitnation.com. I'll have my player pool up. You'll have your slate plan up. We'll have our cores up. We already have the value report up from our guy, Lee. We'll have our tier ranking. So we'll have everything up on the website. This is like initial conversation. My initial lean is I think Scotty gets owned. I think a lot of the guys below him kind of get forgotten. And then people are going to hammer the low 9s and upper 8s this week.
Yeah, and just of note too, just a couple people had asked about this, and I'm just scanning. There's so many good things in there. Like Sean talks about, he was first in, so I'll give his ups. His personality is going to take the content to the next level. That's the best part. We love that we have all different kinds of personalities, but then that we can still keep it to the same people you know and expect. It doesn't really change much of the other stuff. Like on MMA, you're still going to see Title and Marley. On NHL, you're still going to see Nades. When baseball comes back around, you're going to see G Rising and Ham in the FanDuel streets on top of the other stuff we cover. So just lots of different ways that we can do it. And then Jason, our guy Bader Bear, says the best reason is making one membership out of two best sites becoming one is insane. Yeah, a lot of people were paying for both sites. Yeah, now we're just paying for one.
I've been in the business world for a while. Tambo, you have as well. I mean, we could have easily said, okay, you know what, we're going to just go ahead. We're going to do this merger and we're just going to bump our prices by like 25% or something. Let's say we're $60 a month. He's $40 a month. Someone that has both is paying $100. Let's just meet in the middle and we'll say we'll charge people $75. No, that's not what we did here. We said, well, guess what? You're getting all this for the same price. Actually, a lot of people are going to end up paying less. We went through literally like one by one of the members. A lot of people are going to end up paying less and getting all the content together. It's an unbeatable deal, honestly.
Yeah, Rob J.
And this is it right here. Honestly, you know what? I mean, this is the comment that is true no matter how you shake it. I mean, this is right on, and this is what we want people to realize moving forward. There's no need to pay $600 per sport anymore from some of these other sites. There's no reason to pay $100 a month per sport. There's no reason to pay $500 for a NASCAR package anymore. We have all the main sports on DraftKings. All the sports that have the biggest prize pools on DraftKings covered at a fraction of the price. And there's no reason to have anything else, honestly, moving forward. So that's where we're at. And that comment is very true.
Yeah, that'll be where we draw a line a little bit in the sand. Like, again, we're not going to call out names or something, but just the facts. Like we're still, I'm competitive in DFS. Hoop is as well. I'm just as competitive in business. At the end of the day, we talked about less is more. You are getting a ton more and you're still paying the same price or less in a lot of these cases. So it just continues on. The other one too, like Ross just said, this going back to this field for a second, a couple comments I saw here. This is what we said off the top. Everyone's making note of it, making sure it's known. Of course, like we did, it is 50 in ties and anyone within 10, but Chase Johnson, it could end up being a situation where it's really, one or two people or something like that. So we'll have to see how it actually plays out. But as far as your strategy goes, I have no problem, whatever that means for you, playing it like a no cut. Now you still have to remember this is a harder course. It's still a tougher course, at least to go out and score on. So that's where a guy like Scotty, which I'll get to in a second, makes a lot of sense for that reason. We kind of want Scotty at the harder courses, but just to note, like Jason says, a lot of course horses. And if you go to it, you're looking at obviously play Max Homa at Max Homa courses coming off a miscut, but who cares? 5th, 1st, 10th, 2nd, Colin Morikawa, 6th, 2nd, Cantlay, 3rd here, bunch of other top 20s, a 4th back before, JT, 9th, 2nd, 6th, 20th, 4 of his last 6 years. Like there's a lot of guys that you can go to there and play. So I think that's really the interesting part of it is just, I think what happens, Hoop, is everyone says no cut. Let me jam all these guys at the bottom. I can just play whoever I want. But remember, that works a lot better usually or typically in birdie fests, right? In a no-cut birdie fest, then you want that because when everyone's scoring 80-plus points, you'll take it at 6,500 before you'll take it at 9K. It's not really, a tough setup. It's not tough pins. It's not hard to score on. In this case, you may actually want to take a balanced build like Jason's talking about, and you could still fit like 3 9K guys or a couple 9s and an 8 or one up top, 1 9 and mix in. So I definitely think there's other ways that you can go about it. But I also agree with you about the Scotty factor where it's kind of like Scotty, Rory, Xander, Hovland probably get squeezed to that 15 to 20 range. And then you go up to like Homa, Morikawa, the ones that are going to be popular based on course history and just getting talked up throughout the week. Did you have anything else you want to add on that factor?
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people do look at no-cut events, which this is basically a pseudo no-cut event, and they look at it and they say, well, Stars and Scrubs is going to be popular no matter what. I just don't think that's necessarily the case. I mean, at the end of the day, people end up selling themselves on the mid-tier. I mean, we always look for 2v2s, and I'll try to put one up real quick. Scheffler and a 6,500 guy, that leaves you $8,000 left. So instead of going Scheffler and $6,500 guy, people are going to go, I'll just take Sam Burns and
It's like
Wyndham
Morikawa
Clark.
and Cam Young or something.
Yeah. They're gonna if they identify that 2v2, they're going with the two stable guys over Scotty and the 6.5K guy. A majority of people will. Not everybody, but a majority will. So I think regardless, people do end up selling themselves more on these balance builds opposed to the stars and scrubs at the end of the day.
So like a prime example of that. So I'm glad you brought that one up because this will tie in with this upper range. Then we could talk about Rory, Xander, Hovland, but the Scotty Scheffler one. So I already saw the chat talking a bunch about Sam Ryder. He is the stone minimum here. He's, you know what you're getting with Sam Ryder off and on, but if you look at his history, the last 2 years, he's come 26th and 20th, which would play very well in this scenario. But usually we'll say the facts, right? Like, oh, someone's saying, if you play Scotty, he's got to win. Well, not necessarily, because what if the other guys around him don't do well? What if you can still fit him in? What if the guys at the bottom do well enough that he's still needed as one of the top scorers up top there? All those factors. I had great Scotty Scheffler lineups last week that still did very well. Won a Mega Milli ticket into this week to play with a Scotty Scheffler lineup. He didn't win. He probably should have, again, with that putting issues down the stretch. But, what else is new for Scotty Scheffler? But just to say it, the example you gave, Scotty and what is it? He's 11.5. Scotty and
I just threw in a 6.5K guy. I mean,
Sam Ryder is the one I want to use. Yeah. So sorry, he's 6,000. So it's Scotty and Sam Ryder, or it's someone like Finau or Spieth with Colin Morikawa. So like, what would you rather have of those two? I think people would still want that balanced version more, wouldn't they?
Yeah.
I
think that, yeah. And again, that's kind of the trend I'm seeing. People, man, if it comes down to a 2v2 like that, people are going to sell themselves on two guys that they think can win the tournament, which is the truth. Like, is Sam Ryder going to win this event? Most likely not. But could Morikawa or Finau win it? Yeah. Could Scotty win it? Yeah. People are still going to want to go with the guys that they think in their head have the chance to win it. Now, where does this fall apart? Scotty wins, Ryder finished 15th, and then, Finau and Morikawa are 10th, between 10th and 20th or something, and you're going to need the Scotty side. So, you can make the cases all day long, but I think in these events, people do end up selling themselves on the more mid-tier type options.
Yeah, and that's why though. But the other angle to it would be that, right, where it's like, that's where I would say when you're looking at it from one guy, you don't say it like that. But when you're looking at it in that example, the two 9K guys is probably going to be more common when you see people actually shake it out, because they're going to say, well, shit, I could easily see Morikawa battling with Scotty down the stretch, but I would almost need Scotty to win and Sam Ryder to do well versus, Morikawa to come second to him, but then my other guy just to dominate Ryder, if you look at it from a 2v2 perspective. So again, how we're looking at it always over at SHIPIT Nation is we're going to look at actual tournaments that we're in, who we're playing and up against. The slate plan breaks it all down from where the ownership's going and then what you can do with roster construction to get different. So Rin brought it up too about Homa. Last week, he did the AM/PM wave, ended up getting it pretty rough with the way the weather shook out there. So that's definitely a good point as well. Talking about these other guys up top here, Hoop, Rory, Xander, Hovland. Xander WD'd, right? Both him and Hovland WD'd from the Waste Management. It sounded like Xander had a bit of a wrist injury, so we'll have to see with him, but maybe his ownership gets docked because of that. And also his finishes here, none of them really pop off the page. But even though there are like 15, 13th, it's like 33rd and 23, the guys around him have all these top 10s. So what's your thoughts on Xander, Rory, and Hovland before we get into that heavy, I think what's going to be heavily owned 9K range?
Yeah, I mean, this is a range where I think these guys, again, I always kind of say this term, and I hope people understand what I mean by it. Like, I think they come in lower owned than all the sites are projecting them for in terms of ownership. So if a lot of these sites are picking, I don't even know, I haven't looked very close at ownership. If they think Rory's going to be 18%, I think he has a chance to be 14, 15%, right? If these sites are projecting Xander for 20, I think we could see him in like the 15 to 14. The guys that are going to get squeezed, and when people go in and start building their teams, these are the sacrifices that they're willing to make. They're going to make these sacrifices on these guys to get more Scotty. They're going to make sacrifices on these guys to get more of the mid-tier. In terms of ones I like, I'll take some chances on Rory at what I think is low ownership, or probably 2 to 3 times less than Scotty. I think Scotty could be 30, not three times, but I think Scotty could be like 30, and I think Rory could be like 14-ish. Like I'm gonna get some of him. And can you play both of them together? Yeah, I think you can, especially if you're playing in the big Millie Maker and you hit one of the 6K guys. You'd be not the Millie Maker, but the big contest on DraftKings. If you hit a 6K guy and those two are both in the top 5, you can make it all work. The one I am a little hesitant to play is Hovland. Hasn't looked all that good. Withdrew last week. I'm not very excited to be on him, but I want some of Rory. He's playing good overseas. Obviously, the 66th at Pebble Beach was not good. I mean, his game was completely out of whack, but man, he has the ability just to turn it on and, potentially nuke a course. So I do want some Rory. Not super excited about Hovland. Xander, again, I think he can get squeezed a little bit. He's a guy we typically like playing in no-cut events. Can he get it back together? Yeah, I'm sure. The main reason I'm looking at guys like Rory and Xander is because, again, I think the ownership comes in lower than anyone's even projecting. And then we've already talked about Scotty a lot. I mean, he's the best right now, and a guy that I definitely want to be on in a big way.
Yeah, I like the Rory call a little bit there just because of the fact of what you mentioned. If people are going up top, it's not the same as what we had recently. This is just $300. So people are going to find the 300 and just get to Scotty. And why you're right. I think early our initial ownership projection on Rory was like 17. You could see it end up being like 14 or 15, which is not why you're going off him or on him. I'm saying, but if he's getting even more squeezed, it's likely that it's going to Scotty because there's such a discrepancy, $1,100 less to go down to Xander. And I don't think it's necessarily going to end up there once we get past these initials. And then same with Hovland, maybe a little bit, but I like the Rory call for that reason. He's been okay here too, 4th, 5th, 10th in 3 of the last 5 years. Like he can definitely do it. The chat's talking about it, but the tee times were just released, and surprise, surprise, as Kevin says, never would have thought Tiger JT pairing. What else do you know? Yeah. What else is new, right? Wonder how that worked out. So yeah, they're going to be to with.
Man, I like JT. I don't know if I like that pairing now, to be honest with you. He's got to deal with
pretty comfortable in it, but we'll get to that range anyway, because the other guy, at least early, that I would probably be looking at is Hovland here at 10K, even if you want to get an option there, because I wonder, and it's a good segue into the next range, what Homa ends up at. I just think he could get really popular. I know he hasn't played great lately, but like you said, people just move off that one, and the 66th the week before, he was playing decent before that, and now he gets back to a course that we know that he loves. And so, this is a spot for Homa. You play Homa at Homa courses, like we said. So Homa down to Spieth. Some of these guys are popping in this range, and I think they're all going to get a little bit of ownership. Where are you at in this 9K range early on?
Yeah, I think we differ a little bit on the Homa stuff. I know he's played well here. He's a guy that typically plays well at the same courses, but I just think a lot of people value recent form over course history. And again, I get that he was on the wrong side of it last week, but missed the cut, and then 66 at the pro. He hasn't played great this year. I mean, he had some 13ths, a 14. Like, I don't know. Like, do I like him this week? Am I going to play him? Yeah. I don't think the ownership's going to follow. I don't think it's going to be as high as we're thinking. Again, I think a lot of people are going to try to get to the Scotty stuff, and if not, they're going to fall off. So I'm not super worried about the ownership on Homa. I do like him though this week. I'm going to play him because I personally think that the ownership is going to be not as high as we're kind of seeing. The next group of guys I do like a lot, like Morikawa at 95. Cantlay seems underpriced at 9,300. Aubert is a guy I just want to be on moving forward. We talked about it at the beginning of the season. We were on him through the swing season. I know a lot of our members made a lot of money just sticking with Aubert all the way through the swing season. He was a featured part of basically all our content all swing season, and he paid it off. JT, is back 9,100. I think is a really bad price tag. He's going to get ownership. I mean, he's definitely going to get some ownership because of this price tag and how well he's been playing. I just think a win is coming, and I wouldn't be surprised if this week for a guy like JT. So I'm going to continue to be in on JT. Bad price at 91. Spieth looked pretty good last week. Like, I'm fine, being on him a little bit. I like this range a lot more than the top range, and it's more so the lower portion. Aubert, Thomas, Cantlay, guys that I want to be pretty heavy on this week. And again, JT is going to get some ownership at 91, but coming into this season, I would plan on being on him heavy every week. I've been heavy on him every week. It's worked out. I'm not going anywhere. I don't care that he's going to be popular this week. He's definitely my favorite in this range.
Well, what if I told you that the PGA Tour posted a clip and deleted it 2 weeks ago, and he said Ludwig Oberg himself. He said that was his actual name, and then he's changed it again. So It's hard to get this guy, isn't it? I think he's trolling at this point. But I just
then fuck it. Let's just go back and call him Aberg again.
That's what it should be. Call him what you want to call him at this point. But yeah, this is first thought that I'm having now. You kind of got me onto this one, and I'm seeing it. Is that I think JT will end up being like right now on initials for ownership. I think you could swap JT and Homa easily, just like that, like 5 points the other way. I think JT at 9,100 is going to get ownership here for sure. Just like you said, he's back. He's been playing well. People are going to follow that. It's a third, 6th, 12th. He's been great here. Like he's playing with Tiger. All these things that are going to come up. I think definitely you could see him pop up here at a bigger ownership at just 9,100, and guys around him could get a little less. People always seem to like to get to Cantlay, but then you got to remember Kawa is right there. So I think Kawa could end up coming in more than Homa, and I think JT. So Kawa and JT would be where I see it going early on. And again, our initials come out early, then we adjust them throughout the week. That's where we'll put the time and effort into to see what we come up with there. But I think for sure that's how I would see this range playing out. You mentioned the tools and content over at SHIPIT Nation. Have to check out the old course fit rankings if you want to see what we got there. But it's definitely liking some guys here in this range. So that'd be the tease for you to go and check that out. That's another thing you get and comes with it. We'll see that. Also, somebody asked here, the Discords will be under one. Everything's going to be moved over to SHIPIT Nation. We've got everything going out, emails, people moving over as early as today, if not tomorrow. And we talked to James just before we hopped on the show here, just to try and get some other stuff dialed in for the week. And I believe his projections and ownership will be moved over by tomorrow. So before our stuff goes final, we'll have that. And then we'll be in the showdown streets this week with ownership and projection and some of the other stuff. I'm not sure if all of it will get over for sure this week, but worst case next week, but a lot of it will be brought over right away. Go ahead.
More good comments continue to roll in, and we appreciate all the support. Pumped for DGen to join. You always said you would under-promise and over-deliver as a founding family member. Just want to say thanks. Anyone in here, don't hesitate. Join the nation. Yeah, that's the goal. And we don't just talk about things. We talk about it. We be about it. We talk about the education stuff. Everyone says they want to do education. They're going to help people get better. We actually do it and execute it, and something we take a lot of pride in. So appreciate that comment.
Yeah, I'm just going to pull it up there now for a second so we could show it off just to get set here for a second. I got to find my overlays. It's been too long, Hoop, since I popped up this thing, right? So we can get into it here, but just want to see
recovery mode.
Well, it's not even that. I mean, I feel like I haven't done a show in weeks. Like it's just been the way it's been going. We're working on this merger, getting everything done in the back end. Spoiler alert, too. We can say it now because it'll be on tomorrow's show, but this is phase 2. And there is a phase 3. So we were talking about that, Hoop, before, and just want to let people know there's more to come. This is just this is the middle. We won't say it's the beginning, but and then from there we'll see where we go. But there's definitely more to come. So go ahead.
We kind of laid it out. Phase 1 was launching, improving, adding on some sports, adding on some team members. Phase 2 was building our base with DGen. Big, and then this has been in the works for a while. This isn't something that just popped up and let's do it. This has been in the works for a while. Phase 3 is another massive game changer, massive game changer. And hopefully it's rolled out sooner rather than later, which I think will be the case. And it's only another huge added benefit to anyone that is a member at SHIPIT Nation.
Yeah, just remember too, not only, so these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 sports, you will now have NASCAR and college football when it comes back with next year. Right now, it shows it's around $49 a month. But when you use DGen 15 on the annual, you get it for just over $500 for 8 major sports, projections, ownership, the tools, the rankings, even more tools now with the Stone coming over from DGen. And then you'll still have your core reports, your player pools, your slate plans, the education courses, all this stuff on top of joining the community, which we're going to spend a lot of time on it tomorrow. So I won't do that. But like they said, we hold our promises. One promise was that we would get to $6.99, and that's going to be another thing tomorrow. So if you are using your one-time code, I get it, different prices for different folks, all those things, but the DGen 15 code is better than any 10% off code we've ever ran. It's better than PGA 10. It's better than our partner codes, all that. This is right now for the merger specifically. So if you've been on the fence and you want to get in, I would recommend using it on the annual because you're going to work down, I think it's like $42 a month. It works out to where other sites are charging $75 a month for NASCAR only, $79 a month for PGA only. All of that, it is going to be a lot of things, right? We're going to go through it all tomorrow. Some of the stuff rebranded. We talked about it like when Lee came over. This was called the Under the Radar rankings, and now it's called the Value Report. James has the Rosetta Stone. It is now going to be the Stone. It's just the Stone, whatever you want to put on it. He's the Degenerate 75. It's the Stone. That's what we're getting over to the site. So that's going to be there. You'll see the menus change up. We'll have just like NFL, where we had showdown projections on top of everything else. Under PGA, you'll now see that. You'll see the Stone pop up in here. You'll see new menus pop up. You'll see more education courses pop up. There's going to be a lot of good things going on. Anybody there talking about, the Stone is tight. The Stone is legit. Yeah, anybody who doesn't know, like, it's definitely one of the best tools out there that you can just use as a one-stop shop to be able to have everything put together on one sheet for you and see, and then start applying and building your lineups based off of that. If you want to, like Hoop always says, build competitive lineups, that's a way to do it, just so you have it. So yeah, definitely going to be an awesome addition. If you want to use it on a PGA only option because you're here for a golf show, again, these prices will change when we get there. We're not doing it right now or anytime soon. Just want to say one note on PGA though while you're here. This is through September 1st. We are going to change this to an annual at $299, just because we are going to now have with James the full swing season, everything else that goes with that. Someone will say, oh, but I bought it at this price, or I bought it at less than this. It really doesn't matter, because you'll still be able to get your discount code on the $299 or on the monthly if you want to add on the swing season. And I've already done the math. It still works out to the same or less over the longer term, because you're picking up 12 months instead of 8. So just want to give you guys a heads up on that. And then someone said about NASCAR. NASCAR will have a core report. It will have a slate plan breaking down the dominators, the point differential plays, talking about the slate. It'll be in Discord anytime there's guys get moved to the back or any extra strategy stuff that you need to know. There will be a stone for NASCAR. That's pretty exciting. And then there will be projections and ownership as well. So we're really going to have you guys covered from all angles. That's really what it comes down to. Keep it going here with the golf stuff, Hoop. Anybody else in the 9K range that you want to talk about? If not, you could take us into this 8K range, which it's deeper this week, I think, right? You got 11 guys here in this 8K range.
Yeah, more options, more solid options, I'd say, in my eyes. The 9K, like the 9K. I mean, a lot of guys in there that are pretty appealing. I think we do see a lot of ownership in that range. But again, there's only 70 guys here. So, I mean, it's all relative. I mean, if you look at a guy and he's 25%, I mean, it's a big number, but only talking 70 golfers. So everyone's going to have some degree of ownership. You get down into the 8K range, Finau at 89. I prefer to come up a little bit more or below. I think the same thing can be said for Fleetwood. Like if I'm going to go Fleetwood at 88, like I want to get up to Thomas or Aubert or Cantlay, or just come down to some of these other options. The first one in this range that I like quite a bit, and it's a guy that I typically am not on, and it hasn't been fun lately because he's been golfing really well, is Sam Burns. I mean, Sam Burns has been spot on, and Sam Burns is a guy, when he gets hot, like he stays hot. And, he cooled off for a while at some point last season, and you could see it there. I mean, the results piled up and they weren't good. Well, now he's on a little bit of a heater here. Everything's kind of rolling for him. He's since American Express 6th, 10th, 3rd last week. Every single round has been, besides one, has been below 70. It's on a little bit of a heater right now. I like playing guys that are hot, and there's not many guys out there hotter than him. So in on him. Thigala after last week looked good, 5th. I don't know, got to see. Not fully sold on going to Thigala. Cameron Young at 8,500. I think it gives us an opportunity to maybe get on someone that's turning the corner. I mean, it's been a rough stretch for him. He has not played well lately. Finally, last week he looked good. Good driver of the ball. 8,500. I mean, it's just a little more than an average roster spot. I think he's a fine option down there. Matt Fitzpatrick, probably won't have much of him. Wyndham Clark, man, I had a really good team with Wyndham. He kind of screwed me this week, but I'd be fine going back. I had a team I finished, I believe, 6th or 7th in the 888 last week, and Wyndham Clark shot like 2 or 3 over in round 4, really taking my chances away of shipping that thing. But I'm fine going back to him. Played well, and man, the last couple of weeks he's just gotten just white hot, just super hot in these rounds. Eagles, bunch of birdies, and we saw that in round 3 this past week. What was it? We went 65 and 66 in those middle 2 rounds. So got super hot in the middle there. Good for DK scoring. Adam Scott's playing well. I do like him.
You said hot like 7 times. You know what rhymes with hot?
What?
Adam Scott.
Adam Scott. Scott is
you
hot.
didn't even look at his stuff. You didn't even pull him up. I mean, he's 6th, 4th, 7th,
Yeah.
20th.
No, I'm in.
Winner
I'm in
here.
on Scott. I'm in on Scott.
He's the top play in this range. He might end up being one of the top owned guys on the slate because of that.
I like Scott because he's hot. That's for sure. At 82, I like the price tag too.
I didn't say it that way. I said what rhymes with hot. You said it different.
8,200 in on him. Tom Kim, probably won't have much of him. Jason Day.
Oh, Tom Kim won't have much of him.
Not much of him. See, it's just natural now, man. Like I've done too many shows with you. It's just flowing. And then your boy Sung J M. Not much of him either. He's off to a rough start. You're gonna have to talk me into your boy Sung J if you want me on him this week. 66, miscut, 25th. His game is in disarray, so not a ton of interest there. So but it is a loaded up range.
Shout out to our guy Nick. Nick's the man. Nick took care of everything over at Pop Stroke for us. Got it all settled out today, but it was an awesome time seeing Nick and others down there. That was a Pop Stroke, by the way. Incredible stuff. It was amazing going down there, just playing. It's like real life courses of a mini golf course, but it's like a real golf green. It's just awesome. I loved it. And someone said it here too. I'm over him. Good one there. What was the other one? This one. No, I got to talk because someone's looking for DGen. I'll bring this up in a second, but he will definitely. I can announce it for DGen a day early on the emergency stream. Still stay tuned for that tomorrow. But Adam Scott will most certainly be donkey chalk when there is legit 5 or 6 golfers above and below that you could just play instead at what looks like half the ownership. So you can play him. You just got to get different with him. What's the saying is we don't play donkey chalk except when we do, right? Guy in the back, as he'd like to say, except when we do. So you just are going to have to know that he's going to be popular. And I want to answer Ricky quick because on the content note, we could say this one quickly. So the Monday first look, I was traveling yesterday. Otherwise, it's always going to be DGen and myself. He's going to host it weekly and do what he always does with it. I'm going to chime in, help out where I can there. When we flip back to NFL, we'll just rotate me into the host and he can hop on with me for that one for the first look. I'll still be doing the Fantasy Golf Degenerates with Kenny Kim. Last night, shout out to my guy Baroff. Stepped in and helped out. Great. Every time he's on, he crushes. So definitely listen back to that show. It's over on the Mayo Media Network. Then we've got the Tuesday show with Hoop and I. And then Wednesdays will be James doing his show. We may incorporate something more in the future, but right now, that is the focus for the PGA content. Thursday night, round 2 with Hoop and myself for the round 2 showdown starting next week at the Mexico Open on the Mayo Media Network. Then James will do it on his channel on round 3 and on the SHIPIT Nation YouTube station on round 4. Eventually, the channels will also migrate over, but obviously we want to make sure in the beginning everybody knows where to find DGen and where he's at now. So it's going to be a good one here. Anything else there, Hoop, that you wanted to talk about? I mean, you mentioned a lot of those guys. I'll give a couple takes here in a second, but just want to see.
Yeah, I mean, it's a loaded up range. And again, I think this is a spot where a lot of people come. They're going to come to the low 9s. They're going to come to the 8 range, and you can make some really solid lineups. I mean, if you just plug in one guy, like a low 7K guy, you can essentially live in this range for your next 5 spots. You play one guy in the 7s, you can fill up your team with 8Ks and 9K guys. And I think a lot of people do go that route because when they look at their team, they're going to say, man, I got 5 guys here that I think can win this golf tournament. And they're going to feel good about it, and they're going to do that. So I think it will be a popular build. So if you are doing a mid-tier sort of build, I think you really need to be careful with the ownership. Like try to hit on some of these lower owned guys in this range when building those mid-tier type teams.
Yeah, I don't mind it too. Like again, if you do it, you can do it a little bit differently. Like what if Adam Scott was in the mix with some of the guys from up top, like a Rory Scott might be a way to separate if most people that get to Scott are going to have Scotty or a balanced build. So there is definitely ways you could still use it. I think it was my guy Nick said he knows the saying, it's not who you play, it's how you play them. That's correct. I had a couple sweats himself over in the Super Bowl streets the other night. A couple more, Peter. If you have a year-long PGA with us or DGen, doesn't matter. If you have it with DGen, you're already going to get brought over with 2 options to either upgrade to the All Access or stick with what you already had for the PGA. If you have more questions and want us to look into it for you, you can email me info@shipitnation.com and I will get after it and check out your membership and give you the best deal that we possibly can based on the current deal everyone else is getting. There's no special deal, but there's the DGen 15 deal, and I can go through all your proration, getting you set up to get all the access for all 8 of the major sports that we will have. Does the guy in the back get more meals with the merger? I'll have to let James decide it. James, we were just down with a good group of people down there supporting us and helping us out and down in Phoenix, Arizona, and everyone got taken care of. James is extremely generous, so can't say enough about that. Let's see what else we had here. Somebody else said something I saw. Just one second here. There was one more that I missed that they wanted to bring up. Oh, this one. Good one. I'm a self-aware whore when it comes to free YouTube content. DGen75 has always been my favorite. You guys have been a close second. We stand by this, Todd, and we like your logo, by the way, joining the supporting the double cause now. But just a note on that, like I'm going to bring this up on the show tomorrow again. We say it all the time. We do 90% of what we do is free when it comes to shows, all of them, right? When it comes to most of that stuff, you'll see it. But just in general, if you like that stuff, we suggest still taking it in, trying to build up some lineups, get out there and have success with it. But remember, there is the extra step of getting into the Discord community and being around others that are like-minded with the same goals and mindsets. It's not just because you're in the Discord. I mean, you'll pick up on things. You'll get late news that could be the difference maker in winning a lineup someday or something like that. But it's also just the next step of progression. When you're trying to get better at something, it's typically nice to bypass and take the shortcut of not needing to go through the same mistakes others went through. And that's what the Discord is actually truly all about, right? You're getting in there not just to find out, should I be on this guy or that guy? It's not about the picks and plays. It's finding out some other stuff when it comes to roster construction, ownership, leverage, correlation, what others are doing, what they did when they went through this. Sometimes the questions are like, I won money for the first time. What did you guys do when you won your first $1,000 score or $10,000 score or whatever it might be? And people can help you with that. I need to get money off DraftKings. How did you guys do it? Like there's all kinds of things that they're talking about in the Discord. It's not just picks and plays or something like that. So definitely think it's a key component to know that the Discord is more than just that. And oftentimes it can take you from novice to intermediate or intermediate to advanced in a faster time period than just going and figuring it all out on your own. So back to the golf. Burns, I would say, is one that stood out to me there. Fleetwood, if nobody wants to play them, like these guys are guys that can definitely grind this type of course, make the, the pars that are needed and score when they can. So I think that's interesting. Fitzpatrick, Scott is going to be super interesting to me. If he gets to like 25 to 30%, I have to go with my guy DGen, and it may not even be a situation of, what's the one, except when we do, it may be in a case where there's just too many guys, man. Like there is legit dudes even in the upper sevens that could contend and compete with it. And I always say this about Scott. I know this is his course that he's done so well at, but it's also a situation where we have a stacked signature event field. I could easily see it where Scott is like 23rd or 25th again, and I just don't know if that will end up being enough. Again, nice that he's 8,200, so it makes it so it still can work. Higher stakes, smaller field. I think you can easily get away with it and just get different elsewhere. Just I think you need a little bit more juice out of that guy if he's going to be that high owned in some of the larger field stuff, at least, as we'll see how it plays out with my roster composition. Anything else in the 8K? If not, take us into this upper 7 range.
Yeah, upper sevens. I mean, I think one of the more interesting guys maybe in the field this week is right at 7,900, and that's Will Zalatoris. And, obviously looked like this guy was going to be a stud, had the injury, now coming back a little bit, and then finally things are rounding into form. Missed the cut at the Sony, came back and finished 34th at the American Express. And then at the Farmers is the first week where it's like, all right, this guy looks good. At the where did he finish 13th? At the Farmers, yeah, finished 13th. Man, I think it's one of those situations where we kind of get ahead of the curve on a guy that's potentially coming back. And again, if everything's right, he's much more expensive than a $7,900 guy. He's below the average roster spot on DraftKings. I want to be early to the party on Zalatoris in terms of the ownership. I don't think it's looking all that crazy from what I've seen, and it could change. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think we're going to see any crazy ownership on him. I want to be ahead of the curve on a guy like Zalatoris. So plan on being heavy with him. Keegan Bradley at 79, I think is a fine option. My guy, JT Poston, 78, missed the cut last week. I'm not sure what I'll do there. Hogard, 78, Eric Cole at 77 is the name that kind of stands out to me. And then, Chris Kirk at 75. Always have a soft spot in my heart for Chris Kirk. So the 4-ish in this range that I like for sure: Zalatoris, Keegan, Cole, Kirk, Hogard, probably my favorites here. I've been playing a lot of Poston, but I don't know, maybe you can change my mind on him. Curious to get your take, but I don't necessarily think I need to play Poston here. I want to focus on those other 5 that I mentioned. So kind of where I'm at in this upper 7 range.
Yeah, we'll see tomorrow night. Our guy DGen will have it covered, but he might come in the donkey chalk range as well. Poston's been, if you go back to just what he's been doing and everything, like again,
yeah, but coming off the missed cut though, you think people still go to him?
Yeah, like he's too strong before that. He still pops in projections, everything there. It may be 15% as opposed to up in the 20s, but that's which I would expect. But I mean, he's also only 7,800. And again, you got like Keegan Bradley. The chat's talking about the hose are safe here. We got the Hogard right there that you can keep in line. You got Eric Cole, Siwoo, Benny Ann. Like all these guys should pick up a little of. I wonder where Zalatoris ends up coming in at, but Zalatoris and Cole were two guys that popped, and I think they're interesting at sort of that top-bottom range. Keegan Bradley, if everyone does go to Poston or Siwoo or Benny Ann or Denny McCarthy, I think those are good pivots that you can go to off of them. So I'll just note it, but I do think definitely you see this upper 7K range just sort of fall into that. Maybe Poston, maybe Zal, maybe Benny Ann get love, but the rest should be under 10%. So I think you can get different.
It's a product of kind of, what we talked about before, where people are just going to find a way to get up to that 8K. Like it does look like, just in terms of the names, those 8K guys just look so much more appealing than those upper sevens. And when people go to build their teams, they're going to say, man, like, do I want to play, I don't know, do I want to play Keegan Bradley, or do I just want to find $300 more and play Adam Scott? Like, I think they're just going to find a way to get to the guys like Adam Scott in that 8K range over some of these upper 7 guys.
Yeah, I kind of like this lower 7K range a little bit more. I think, again, we'll see when we get to the 6s what you say, but just in this lower 7K range, like Matsuyama is only $7,400. That seems low. Corey Connors, maybe a little bit Canadian motivation after. Shout out to my guy. Speaking of being down there, Nick Taylor getting the job done. A 4th win for him now on tour. Yeah. Excited because I'll be at President's Cup. That'll be the next event that I'm at, I think, is in September, so a while away. I'm not sure if I'll make another one in between, but if I don't, definitely will be at the President's Cup. It's in Canada, in Montreal. Going to be awesome to go to that. That's an event you guys can plan for. If you want to get out to a nice event, that should be a good one, and that's going to be awesome. So hopefully Sungjae is there as well. And then you got Hadwin, little more Canadian motivation, 7,100. He was bad last week, but you go back to him at 7,100. I'm fine with that. Bo Hostler probably gets a little bit of love and steam, but I mean, so there's 4 or 5 guys in this lower range that I kind of like, and just early on thinking out loud. And then can you go back to Nick Taylor? Speaking of him, I was ranging these guys against him, but can you just stick with these Canadians and go back to Nick Taylor off a W? He looked really good again. I know the putter, but that's what he does.
Yeah, I'm fine going back. I mean, it used to be the trend, years ago in PGA DFS, where you just had to like fade the guy that won the previous week because you know the ownership was going to follow. It's just not necessarily the case anymore. It's almost like the opposite, where people go ahead and try to avoid the guy that had won. How do we miss Nick Taylor? Yeah, that is a good point. Yeah,
free money.
That was the play. Yeah,
free money. We forgot about it.
Missed it. Totally missed. But yeah, I'm fine with going to Nick Taylor. I mean, one name that definitely stands out is Hideki at 74. I mean, it's got to be like the cheapest price tag we've seen on Hideki in a very, very long time. He hasn't been playing great, but he hasn't been playing all that bad. A 22nd last week, at a 13th at the Farmers. Pretty disrespectful price tag, and it doesn't look like the ownership is following at a huge rate. So, I mean, I'll take my chances on a guy like Hideki at 74. Cam Davis at 72, I think, is a play for me. Bo Hostler at 7K. And then maybe even some Harris English at 7K flat. He's had some good finishes this year, 14th, 10th, and 17th. So when the game's on, he's contending. And at 7K, he'll take it. So I'm good with a guy like Harris English as well. So those are kind of the 4 or 5 guys that I'm looking at in the lower 7s.
I do like Harris English also down there at 7,000 flat. Good call. And he could be a really nice pivot if Bo Hostler could do. I mean, Bo Hostler has just always been getting steam lately. Obviously, projection sites like him and whatnot, so you'll see that. But I mean, he's still coming in 6th, 14th, 41st. Nothing to do with history as much as just price, no cut, situational stuff there. Dumpy Bo, as DGen likes to call him. So maybe if he gets picked there heavy, you could go to a guy like Harris English. And then this next range, Hoop, going to the Tiger Woods and up range. Tiger, by the way, 6,500 here this week. But Kitayama, Shank, Bezadenhout had a really decent week last week at 6,700. He's okay. Hoagie might get a little bit of popularity there. Svensson, who we were talking about, maybe another guy could get some Canadian motivation, but I like Harris English up at 7, but this upper 6K range has some guys too. Are you going to play Tiger Woods? And then who are the other guys in this upper 6K range, or just 6Ks in general, I guess, do the whole range?
Yeah, I mean, Tiger's got to be the easiest fade on the slate. I don't know what sort of ownership is he getting any or no? I haven't even looked.
No,
Do
I
you have
can't
a
see it,
rough
man.
nut? Yeah,
I'd say
yeah,
under 5%, maybe 5
yeah.
if people go to it. I don't know.
Yeah, someone put up top is like, are the Tiger people paying the rake? It's getting close. I mean, if it gets up to that 10% range, I definitely think it's paying the rake. I mean, I could not click
I
that name,
can't
and
see it getting to 10%. No chance.
that'd be fun though if it did.
I don't
'Cause I
know. You
would.
never know. It's like one friggin' tweet, and the guy's like, "Oh, he looks healthy. You got to think." And he
That's what I'm
knows the
saying. There's
sports.
so much emotion behind like the Tiger support. I love the dude. I'd want nothing more for Tiger to be back and contending, but it's just this is not it. And man, I hope people click the name because I won't be. A lot of good guys in the 6K range, though. I will say guys that are playing well, and it starts right at the top. Kurt Kitayama, 6,900, been playing very well. Griot, 6,900, has been playing very solid golf. Montgomery, 6,800, been playing well. Shank, Bezadenhu, like you said, been playing well at 67. Tom Hoagie at 67 has had some really good results lately, including last week. It's not loading, but he was 17th. He had the 6th at the Pebble Beach Pro-Am, and then 17th at the American Express. So, I mean, there's 6 guys right there that have been playing well. Luke List, I believe, has some solid course history here, 6,600. Svensson is always a guy to maybe take a look at. Ben Griffin shows up in the value report, 6,400. A lot of different guys you can go with here. Sam Ryder all the way down at 6K, very cheap price tag. I mean, again, do I love Sam Ryder? Not necessarily, but at 6K, I do have a little bit of interest in him. A lot of guys down here I think you can play. So, kind of talked about like the Rory stuff and maybe like a Xander or Hovland type play. Easier to get over the field on those guys with so many 6K guys, I think, that are in play this week. So again, content over at SHIPIT Nation. We'll have all the official guys that we like. We'll be in the tier rankings. Maybe some of these guys will pop up in my player pool, the top 30, or it might be top 25 this week because we have a smaller field of guys. But I think the 6K range, very, very viable this week. And I'm banking on the fact that a lot of people kind of pivot to some of these more mid-tier builds instead of embracing some of these guys down here in the 6th grade. I mean, to me, they're really good plays in the 6K range.
So let me ask you that then, because clearly it sounds, again, we don't know. We'll get your final stuff later on tomorrow evening or whatever. But just to say it, like, it sounds like you like these Stars and Scrubs builds more because you already see Rory being a little bit lower up top. You sold yourself on 6 or 7 guys down here that you're pretty comfortable with. But do you think the field gets there, or do you still have that same take, seeing these names down here that you're comfortable with? Do you see that the field could just back off and go to these balanced builds still?
I think the field still goes to like the balanced build stuff. I mean, we've seen it a ton. It's very rare for 6K guys to get a ton of ownership. And when people start looking at some of these 2v2s, if you want to include like a 2v2 with, Rory and let's go Rory and Hoagie. All right. That spends right at what, 18,000. They're going to play Spieth and Thomas. Same thing, basically. They're going to play Spieth and Thomas over Rory and whoever and Hoagie. Like, a majority of people, 8 out of 10 people are going to go Spieth and Thomas over Rory and Hoagie. So I think when you start looking at those individual 2v2s, I think that's how you can kind of differentiate your lineup a little bit this week. So I will be playing more of these guys down here at a higher rate than the field for sure.
Yeah, and you guys know I talk about it in the slate plan every week. I've talked about it on tons of free shows. I build in sets. I can tell you right now on paper, I would love JT Spieth over that other one because, again, like, I get it. The other one's going to be lower owned or whatever, but Rory, that's where I'm saying then when you lead it into the 2v2 conversation, you need Rory to beat those guys. Yeah. And you need Hoagie to follow suit and come with them. So, but I'll have other ones. Last week when I got, I had a pretty decent week. It was on the PMAM lineups that I built because obviously that wave ended up coming through. That's why I'll do that, because in a sport when we have almost no correlation besides certain events, certain wave advantages, certain things, that usually gives me an opportunity to find a way to at least have something come out of the woodworks and find the top. So shout out to our guy Sprite Soda. I like this idea here. We are at just under 100 likes. And we are at just over 5,500. So if we could just get 4,500 of you to subscribe right now, we would get to 10K followers on here, 10K subscribers to YouTube. It is free to subscribe. Jokes aside, definitely go do that now. We are going to be, again, like I said, migrating everything over from the DGen 75 station down the road. Just right now, we want to talk about it, though, so you guys bring that over. If you're just watching this for the first time, make sure you're subscribed to the channel. A ton more free content coming your way, obviously, with all the new sports that we're adding. Anything else, Hoop, or else we got to give away that $200 single entry?
I think we're good in covering the field here. Like you said, all our content. That's one thing we definitely pride ourselves on, and another thing that we stuck to, where we get our content out nice and early, so you're able to get in there, digest it all, get it in the Discord. If you have any additional questions, all our stuff will start. Some of it's already up. Value report's already up. Projections already up. The rest of the stuff will come tomorrow. My player pool, Tambo slate plan, our core plays, our tier rankings, all going to be available for you tomorrow afternoon at the latest. We're not making you wait until these guys essentially tee off to see who we're playing. We'll get it up nice and early. That's for every sport, not just PGA. Do we want to go into the winner? You want to preview this real quick?
Go find the winner for a second.
I already got the winner.
Okay, 1 second. Just let me show this then, because this is just so people know. I don't think everybody does. But even if you're not a member, two things. If you go to shipitnation.com right now, go to PGA dropdown and click value report. This is free every single week. Lee does this. You'll get all the guys he likes below 8,000. So there's not all, but at least 6 of them that he posts. It gives you an example of what the course fit rankings look like. If you want to get them, you can get access. It gives you an example of the tier rankings if you want to get access to that. And then also, if you just go to the main page, shipitnation.com, and you want the PGA Showdown mini course, you can just put your email in there and sign up. But if you are going to join the nation, make sure to use that promo code DGEN15. It's 15% off any plan you choose. Like I said, the annual will go up to $699. It's the one we've said from day one. It's been 9 months. We haven't moved the price. We are going to move it at some point in the future. But for right now, you can get this for $505 with the code DGEN15, which is still more than our original founding family members paid by $6, but the benefits were different, and we said we would protect that. But now everybody's getting more sports and all of that and everything that comes with it. So, Hoop, who do you got for a winner, man? $200 single entry. We're giving it away. Shout out to our guy. Where was he there? Cullen Hoffman. I know that, but he got the win there this week, $250,000. So congrats again to him.
Yeah, I picked a comment that just really fits a lot of what we're doing. When we first launched, you and I both we'd tell people, hey, you know what? We know we don't have all the other sports that you want. We made our price cheap enough where you can have us and you can have others. And it's cheap enough where we're just an add-on, right? You can do both. You can do multiple spots. Well, now we're at the point where that mindset needs to change for everyone out there, because it's a shift. We cover every sport that DraftKings offers in terms of the ones with the big prize pools. All the 8 top sports on DraftKings, we have consistent content for each sport. And what has changed since May, June when we launched, their prices have gone up. The competitors' prices have gone up. Ours has remained the same. And essentially we've added 6 sports. We've added different pieces of content. So now it's at the point where our guy Rob has laid it out perfectly. This merger is a shift in the market where you can go ahead and cancel all the other stuff. It's a point now where you can come and just join the SHIPIT Nation community, and we have you covered for all the sports. Projections. PGA projections for round 2, 3, 4, where other sites aren't even changing the numbers on their guys. They're just rolling them out saying, hey, this is our main slate projections. We're not changing them all the way through. Just deal with it. No. We're adjusting our projections for the weather, the waves, anything that's going on at the course. So, it's at the point now where Rob has nailed it. You don't need anything else. Join us. You have the ability to play in more contests across the industry. Other sites, they're taking your money, limiting what you can play on a daily, weekly basis. Join us. You're going to have more money to play contests. Good decision, and I really don't think you're going to regret it at this point. The value is absolutely insane.
Yeah, I love that, Rob. Reach out to us, info@shipitnation.com. You just screenshot your YouTube account with this username and send it over to us. We'll get you all set up with that. The other thing is the Hoop's point there, like I always say it again, everyone can do what they want out there. You can also keep all those other sites if you want, because ours is cheap enough to add on. It's the most affordable when it comes to it, but the value blows it out of the water, to Hoop's point. But I think once you try it out, you will want to just say, forget these other ones. I don't need them anymore, because we are putting in that extra effort, the sweaty tryhards. Love that. We get to combine with that now with our guy DGen, because that means putting in the extra work to make it right for you so that you can focus on things like your family, significant other, friends, work, whatever else it might be. We know that 99% of the world doesn't play DFS full time like we do, or get into the streets and live it from day in, day out, night to morning, whatever you want to say. So hit us up. on the info@shipitnation.com account. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember, we'll be back tomorrow, 12 in the Lord's time zone, 1 p.m. Eastern for what most relate to, but it'll be Hoop, it'll be James, and it'll be myself breaking it all down. We're going to have some big giveaways as well, so check that out. Subscribe to the channel. Hit that like button on the way out. For Hoop, for myself, ToeTagginTambo. Let's ship it!